Hello and welcome to Kloeker's Education Foundation, where we provide quality content for amazing teachers and students. If you're joining us from our previous video on the geography of Southwest Asia, welcome back. If this is your first time, we're glad you're here. This is our World Geography series, and this lesson dives into the geography and culture of South Asia. Before we get started, don't forget to check out the link in the description below for a set of free guided notes for this lesson. Let's dive in. There are 7 major geographic qualities of South Asia. The first being that South Asia is very well geographically defined, extending from the southern slopes of the Himalayan mountains all the way to the offshore islands of Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Our second geographical quality of South Asia is that there are 2 major river systems within the subcontinent, the Indus and the Ganges, which provide crucial lifelines for millions of residents in the subcontinent, as well as regular rainfall and monsoon seasons, which make farming very predictable. The third major geographical quality of South Asia is that it is the second largest population cluster on the planet, following shortly behind China, and will overtake China by 2030 as the largest population cluster on the planet. The third feature, coming in at number 4, is that no part of the world faces such demographic problems with the urgency and scale as those of South Asia. As you can see, the projected population could be as high as 2.2 billion in just a few short years, or could dramatically drop off, and that unpredictability is making it very difficult for the infrastructure of India. Coming in at number 5 is that all these states within South Asia suffer from underdevelopment, specifically when it comes to infrastructure and food. There's mass food shortages and nutritional imbalances, which lead to high infant mortality. One of the major causes of these food shortages in South Asia is that agriculture in South Asia is generally inefficient, despite the fact that they have regular rainfall. Compared to other parts of Asia, the poor land management and lack of resources and infrastructure has led and contributed to these mass food shortages. Lastly, South Asia also had a period of European colonialization, much like Africa, Latin America, and Southwest Asia. However, the frameworks left were modified after the European withdrawal and still remain to this day with those modifications made, leaving South Asia as significantly more stable than the other continents that suffered from European colonialization. There are 3 major regions within the South Asia subcontinent: the northern mountains, the river lowlands, and the southern plateaus. You can see here on this map the northern mountains up towards the Himalayas, the river lowlands, the Ganges and the Indus, and then of course the southern plateaus, which dominate most of the nation state of India. Now, the geography is caused by the continental drift. We covered this in a previous video on Inside the Earth, how continents are situated upon tectonic plates, and over the course of millions of years these plates are shifting and moving, and the Indian plate has collided with the Eurasian plate, and that force is creating the Himalayan mountains, this continental to continental convergence where they are colliding. The Indian plate is subducting underneath the Asian plate, causing to produce such an amazing and gorgeous mountain range known as the Himalayas. You can see a photo here of Mount Everest. A graph of what that would look like. As you can see, the Indian subcontinent is shifting. It is subducting or going underneath the Eurasian plate as well. That heat is rising, causing an emerging mountain range. And this is the Himalayan mountains coming out as a result. So the Himalayas are a fairly young mountain range, despite being one of the largest in the world, only forming about 30 million years ago, once the collision happened. Now, the Indian subcontinent is separated through the Himalayan mountains from the Tibetan Plateau to the north in China, and the Himalayan mountain range includes several different regions with the Himalaya proper, the Karakoram, and the Hindu Kush. It is home to the world's tallest mountain, Mount Everest, standing almost 30,000 feet above sea level, and Sir Edmund Hillary was the first man to ever make the ascent to the summit in 1953, so a relatively modern feat. South Asia is a subcontinent. It is a smaller landmass than one of the traditional 7 continents that we were talking about at the start of our series. However, it is often referred to as the Indian subcontinent because India dominates the region. India does have major river systems. We spoke about that earlier in the lesson. The Indus River flowing through Pakistan to the Arabian Sea, pictured on the top left. The Ganges flowing across northern India into the Bay of Bengal, pictured on the top right. And the Brahmaputra River flowing through Bangladesh into the Bay of Bengal as well. These major river systems carry fertile soil from the mountains all throughout India, and when they overflow because of the rain, they carry that soil into the pastures, resulting in depositing this soil into the ground called an alluvial plain, which is found along the rivers. To the southern part of the subcontinent, we find atolls, which are coral islands, usually forming rings into small lagoons. You can see pictured here, there are about 1,200 islands within the Maldives. However, only about 200 are large enough to support life, and this is a unique feature to South Asia. Despite the fact that there are only 3 major regions to the subcontinent, the climates of India vary greatly, from the highland climates found along the mountains as the humid subtropical, getting further and further to tropical wet and semi-arid as you go to the south and pushing to the west. Now, another feature and important thing within the subcontinent of South Asia and Southeast Asia is monsoon season and the seasonal winds that they get. Now, farming within the subcontinent of South Asia looks something like this. You have the hot season with the lack of rain, with the high temperatures. It's hard for farmers and agriculture between March, April, and May. There is then the summer monsoon season, or the wet season, in June, July, August through September, so our version of fall. As you can see how much life comes back to the region after the monsoon season, the before and after pictures are quite clear. So after the monsoon season brings back that life to the subcontinent, it is then planting season between September, October, and November. They then roll into their harvest season in December, January, and February before the hot season rolls around again in March. I'm sure several of y'all are wondering, what does monsoon season look like within India? Now, in the North American hemisphere, they're called hurricanes. In East Asia, they are called typhoons. These cyclones, just another term for them, they're going to develop out of the Indian Ocean, coming up and hitting Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, causing mass damage, mass death. And part of that is because of the poverty, the lack of infrastructure built up within the subcontinent to minimize the damage. In Texas, we're very blessed with the barrier islands along the coast, and even then we've gone further to establish things like the seawall within Galveston to minimize the damage and break a hurricane before it makes landfall. So we are blessed to have these things within the United States. However, within the subcontinent of India, there are not as much of these infrastructure and man-made items to limit the damage caused by hurricanes and cyclones. That wraps up our lesson. Thanks for joining us. Always great to have you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Our next unit on the geography of East Asia is just a click away. I'll see you there.